Hello, everybody, and welcome to the A Little Bit More podcast. I'm your host, Lee. Today, I'm here with Pastor Michael. Last week, if you watched, these seats were filled by some Orans, which was hilarious. I went back and watched, and the first minute alone, I could probably watch every morning of my life just for comic relief. It was absolutely wonderful. It was also full of great content, which, of course, is why we do this. Michael... Yeah. Listen, this is awesome. I always love when you're up there bringing the word for us. We started a brand new sermon series this week. Before we get into all that fun stuff, many people might not know this about Michael, but and myself, we are huge baseball fans. He's wearing it right now. He's a St. Louis Cardinals fan. I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, and both of our teams are doing okay.
Yeah. Well,
your team's better.
Depends on how you look at it. We're better than what we thought, but we're coming down to earth. However, MLB trade deadline was here. You guys made some really big moves.
It's big moves. So, you got to move.
You know, best record in baseball in the last month and a half. Cardinals did have a really good record. Now we're on the worst records in the last month, which is fine because we weren't supposed to be good this year. So we traded away some of our guys.
Yeah.
I got some good prospects back. And so
on to next year.
Maybe in the year after that.
That's what you do as a fan. If your team's not good, you can always have the hope of there's always next year.
But next year, we're not going to have baseball.
They will.
There's gonna be a lockout.
There will not be. They're making money. It's the most. It's the best baseball's been in years because they have the pitch clock. The game's faster. You know, things are clicking. People are scoring a lot of runs. It's gonna be fine.
Mr. Positive over here.
Trust me.
There's a lockout.
Book it.
Year to year.
Optimism.
I don't watch
pessimism.
baseball, and I know there's gonna be a lockout.
There's a lockout.
No, they're gonna figure this out.
Thanks, Dodgers.
It's easy.
Actually, no. Hold on. It's not the Dodgers' fault. They are taking advantage of what the system is, and so we're not blaming them. Congrats on you guys for taking advantage of it. You're going to win 3 in a row, probably. First time in NL history, NL national.
They're not going to win 3 in a row.
But the league, Manfred, and everything, you got to figure it out, man. You got to figure it out.
Well, when you have a team paying their pitchers alone more than 3 teams combined in spending,
they're doing what they're allowed to do.
I'm not blaming them, but they have $1.3 billion tied up into their pitchers over the next.
We
know. Anyway, though,
lockout inbound.
That's a little bit more about us. We love baseball. Just love it. And a lot of people say, "Hey, why do you like baseball? It's boring." I'm like, It's not as beautiful.
No, it's incredible.
You know, and sometimes it's the slower pace I actually love. That's why I love watching golf too.
It's the game within the game. You know, like it could be the second inning, but there's a whole mental battle with the guy on first base who's trying to. He's trying to read the pitch and can I take off? Can I not take off? The pitcher's worried about him. He's also worried about the shift in the outfield for the next hit. Like, there's a lot going on.
If you're a Surface fan, I get it. You're probably not going to get it.
Totally,
not going to care.
It's pretty boring to.
But if you like, that's why I love following a team. You get to know the players. Yeah. You know, we become invested in that, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway,
America's pastime.
As long as we all can beat the Yankees and the Dodgers.
And the Cubs.
Spoken like a true Cardinals fan.
Stupid Cubs.
Anyway, all right. So we started a brand new sermon series yesterday called Baton, or people also pronounce it Baton. Depends if you're French or not. But give us a little lowdown. You kicked off the series, and then you're handing the baton back to Kevin.
I am
next week for him to continue this sermon series.
I mean, the whole idea is that the Christian life is not a sprint, right? It's a marathon, and so if you come out the gate, you know, if you surrender your life to Jesus today and you just sprint out the gate and you're like, oh man, this is awesome, I want to do all these things, and then you get exhausted. Well, what the author of Hebrews is telling us is like, hey, you got to slow down and realize like opposition will come, persecution will come. This is not an easy race by any means, which is why he tells us to run with this with endurance and perseverance. And so, we're trying to figure out what that looks like for us as a church and us as believers today to figure this whole Christian spiritual journey out and how to run well and finish well that we're called to do.
That's good. That makes me think really the Christian life is like the steeplechase marathon. Have you ever watched that in the Olympics? It's crazy where they have to jump over hurdles and like through water troughs and stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, pretty wild.
So I love this that we're as a church, we're continuing to pursue Christ, to love like Jesus, live like missionaries. But we have to have that eternal perspective mindset. Kevin and I talk about that a lot in this podcast, actually, just having the mindset of Christ, the attitude of Christ, and the eternal perspective. So that's sort of what we're getting at with this sermon series as we finish up Hebrews and get on into some other books. Is learning how to run daily with the finish line in mind.
Right. Yeah. I love the whole picture. I mean, it's not we see it in Hebrews chapter 12, but it's in other places as well. But if the moment you take your eyes off the cross, the moment you take your eyes off Jesus, you're going to drift away. It's the whole thing in like driver's ed where they teach you, hey, don't look off the side because you're going to naturally drift towards that area. And so, yeah, you're running this race with endurance because again, it's going to be hard. Right. And then, if you're looking at the prize, if you're looking at the goal, you're looking at the finish line of Jesus and the cross, and you continue to look at that, then you should be able to run this race well, knowing that the gospel is there for you. He's giving you all the tools that you need, and that he's shaping you each and every day, right? Like the highest highs and lowest lows of your Christian spiritual journey was ordained by the Lord, and he's shaping you into looking more like him. And so, don't take your eyes off the cross, because the moment you do, you're going to find your confidence and fulfillment somewhere else, and that's not good.
Yeah, that's really good. Like we talked about that a couple weeks ago on the podcast, where we find our identity is
same thing. Yeah.
Gigantic.
Yeah.
With that. So,
right.
Hebrews 10, we read this if you're in the reading plan a little last week, but it's that whole section, a call to persevere in faith. It's the same theme.
Yeah.
Like he talks about that quite a bit. He or she, we don't know who wrote Hebrews.
There's theories.
There's people guessing.
Barnabas, maybe Paul, who knows?
I would love it to be Barnabas. He's one of my favorite Bible people.
Yeah. I just love the fact that if you look at the whole thing in Hebrews, it's these Jewish Christians, these brand new believers that are struggling with their faith because they are like, you know what, I believe, they're trying to go away from their Jewish traditions, and then as soon as they do that, they're facing all this opposition and whatever else. And so some of them are like, man, should I believe in Jesus? Well, you look at Melchizedek, and they looked at angels, they looked at these tangible things, right? Because it was much easier. And so the author, I loved, so I fully believe that he didn't identify himself because he knew that some of those Jewish Christians were going to place their faith in him, the author, rather than Jesus, because he's like, hey, you're focusing on all these different things. Like Jesus is greater than Moses. He's greater than the angels. He's greater than, he goes on and on. Right. And he talks about how he's a great high priest and how he intercedes for us. And then he lays out the gospel for him and how to persevere in this race. But before he does that, he's talking about all these things because they're looking at all these other things of like, well, following Jesus is kind of hard. Well, should I do this? And the author purposely doesn't identify himself because he's like, well, if I did that, or she, if I did that, then you're going to place all your faith in who I am. And that's not the point.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Which again goes to the whole point. And you look at the Hall of Faith and you look at everything else, you don't, I think a sub idea that you kind of see in there is, hey, don't praise the messenger. Like, don't celebrate me on Sunday morning. Don't celebrate Kevin. Celebrate the fact that we have the gospel, we have the word, right? And we're conveying the message. You can look at leaders for emulation for sure, right? But don't celebrate us by any means, because we, it's the whole thing in the sermon, right? Moses dies. It's a verse long. Joshua then comes in. He dies. It's a verse long, right? We are so replaceable, but Jesus is still at the center of the stage. And so keep your eyes fixed on him, nothing else.
Yeah, that's really good. And honestly, even today, that is sort of, you see it in our culture with churches. That's usually when church leaders get in trouble, is when they become elevated.
Right.
And then that's when the fall of, whatever they do, because they're human, if something happens, when their head gets too big. Like as leaders, like we have to constantly be keeping that in mind. Yeah. Humility, Christ above everything else. Because the temptation is, hey, people look at us and, it's not like they praise us or whatever, but we can be elevated. So I think that's a good reminder for church leaders too. Mm-hmm. So, and a couple weeks ago, we had that really a special time in both services where we did intercessory prayer. Beautiful thing about intercessory prayer is it automatically stops you from focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
So if we pray with that mindset, you're thinking of other people before yourself. That's also a beautiful way to keep just that humble thinking. So
100%.
Anyway, anything else? This is going to wrap this sucker up here in a little bit, but anything else you want to share before we say see you later?
See you later.
I have one more question for you before you go.
Okay.
So people might notice you have some tattoos, which is awesome. What was your very first tattoo and why did you get it?
My very first one was my chest. So I have one on my chest. My grandpa raised me. My dad moved away. They got divorced, moved away, and then he eventually passed away. So my grandpa raised me from really kind of, from first grade or whatever. And so he kind of taught me what it means to be a man. And so I got his but he's a Marine, so I got his dog tags
no
tattooed
way.
on my chest. So it's that, and I got
That's
one on
cool.
my leg for my salvation story. I got one over here for my earthly father who passed away, and then this is all for my daughters.
I love that.
Yep.
It's very cool. Most people don't know my entire back is covered with a tattoo. Is a large eagle with wings coming out of my shoulders, grasping on their talons, grasping a snake.
Yeah.
So
with
you probably
a
won't.
baseball in its mouth.
Yeah, you probably won't ever see that, but
Yeah, but it looks pretty cool.
Michael's seen it.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks for your time.
Yep.
Thanks for bringing the word this past weekend. It's just great to be able to gather together as the church to continue to pursue Christ together. So keep it up, as we just learned in Hebrews. Don't stop meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing.
Yep.
But encourage one another. So find a way to encourage somebody today, and we'll see y'all again here next week.
See you later.
Take care.